I will fully admit that at Headlight Revolution, when we're testing headlights, taillights, fog lights, the products that we find to be the best are really expensive and sometimes not really attainable to everybody, especially if you wanted to do headlights, fog lights, and all of the lighting that you can for your vehicle. It gets really expensive. And until now, we really haven't found a good entry-level lineup. We're trying to, and we've heard a lot of really good things about ProComp. They've got a limited lifetime warranty. They've got headlights, fog lights, they've got light bars, they got rock lights, switch panels. So in this video, I just want to do a really high level overview to see if it's truly a good product, to see if we could recommend ProComp for your vehicle. The price point's good, the warranty's good, but are the products any good? Let's start with the pod lights. Let's see if they're bright. We love pod lights on this channel. Is it worth putting on your overlanding vehicle? Let's find out. Let's just come out swinging with this big old pod light. This is the DS7 pod light. I'm really excited to see if this is any bright. What I'm gonna do is hook this up to a power supply like I've got here. Find that. And we're gonna just shine this at the wall. We're gonna see if it's any brighter than what I would say is the comparison, the Baja Designs, the LP9. Is it brighter than that? Well, it'd be really funny if it was, because this is only like $271. Also, just so you guys can get a little idea as to how big this is, just look at the bracket that it comes with. This thing is wild. So it does come with this. I have no idea where you would even want to mount this, maybe on like a crash bar on the front of your vehicle. You wouldn't want this on the top of your vehicle. Imagine the wind noise. It is massive. I kind of find these to be a little bit pointless, but whatever. Let's see if it's any good. 271 bucks. Let's see. Could you imagine putting two of these on the front end of your vehicle? It is really bright, you can tell right away. This is a spot combo flood, at least that's what it says on the box. I really wish that it was like a spot or a combo. It's gonna have all three, which isn't that bad. If you are gonna use this outside when you're driving at nighttime, I personally love having a fill around the hotspot so you can actually see the trees that are in front of you. I don't really necessarily go 200 miles an hour when I'm off-roading my vehicle. So far, I mean, I don't hate this beam pattern. It's not scattering the light, it's pretty concise here. It very much so has a combo beam pattern with that flood around. What I'm gonna do is just use a digital lux meter and I'm gonna find the brightest point in the center. This is not scientific. This is not how I would recommend actually testing when we're doing this. When we do the shootouts, we do a very specific scientific test. This is high level because we've got a lot of products to go through. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually set this to max and I'm gonna find the brightest point in the center here and just compare it to the LP9. So what I see, I ain't gonna lie to you, I tested this and it was in the 6,000s. So what happens is when you leave a pod light on for like 30 minutes or an hour, it saturates, which means that it actually loses brightness, sometimes about 30%. So right now we're at 5,990 max lux. I think we'll just stick to that. This has been on for about 5 minutes. We'll make sure the LP9 is also saturated for 5 minutes and see if it's any brighter or less bright than that LP9, which is way more expensive. Now this is the LP9, that Baja Designs LP9. Right off the bat, this is $618 at the time of this video. You could probably find it a little bit different priced on different websites, but this is super expensive compared to the ProComp. And look at the difference. When you put the side-by-side comparison, it's not all that different. I did read a lot more lux. I read 9,930 maximum lux, which is just the brightest point on the wall. But as you can see, that spot beam pattern of the Baja Designs is all confined right into the center. So it makes sense. But again, if you're putting this on your vehicle and you're overlanding or off-roading, you really truly don't need that much light down the center. Some people will beg to differ. I personally really like how much floodlight there is around this beam pattern. This is the Baja Designs combo beam pattern. They do have other beam patterns you can choose from as well. And this one has a backlight, whereas the ProComp does not have a backlight. To give you guys a better comparison, I've stacked it. What you see on the top is the Baja Designs. You can see the color temperature difference too. The Baja Designs is a lot more warmer temp. And then this one right here, the ProComp, is a lot more bright white. Something I found interesting, let me just cross them over, is actually the Baja Designs has a less flood than the ProComp. And again, I think I like the flood. I think I really truly needed to see the trees and see where I'm going on the trails. So I would rather, for the price at this point, have 2 Pro Comps on my vehicle versus just one Baja Designs LP9. All right, let's power up the DS5. This is a 5-inch pod light from Pro Comp. As you can see on the wall, you still got that bright white color. You've got that hotspot in the center, and then you've got a lot of ambient light around that hotspot. It actually goes all the way to the floor, to the ceiling, from all the way to the left to the right side of the wall. That flood is really big. I'm not just trying to sell this, I'm actually impressed. I've never turned this on before at Headlight Revolution. I test a lot of products. For some reason, Pro Comp slipped through the cracks. This is really bright. I measured 6,600 maximum lux at the brightest point on the Pro Comp, and I'm gonna compare it now to the Baja Designs LP6. And with this LP6, I actually just measured 4,260. So the hotspot is actually brighter on the Pro Comp versus the LP6. When you take into account the price of both of these, it's really interesting. I powered both of them up. On the top, you can see the Pro Comp. On the bottom, you can see the LP6 from Baja Designs. A very similar shaped beam pattern. The color obviously is different. Pro Comp up here is much more bright white compared to the warmer version of the Baja Designs. And what I can tell is that the flood of the Pro Comp is again much bigger than the LP6. The Baja Designs LP6 is a very good product, so I don't want to steer you away from it, but I just wanted you to be aware that the Pro Comp is actually competing with the big dogs. Let's get a little bit more practical. Obviously, those are really expensive pod lights. They're very bright, but they're very big, and oftentimes you're not gonna have a place to mount those kind of pod lights. This is a 3-inch pod. Super popular. As you can see on this channel, I've made over 1,000 videos on 3-inch pod lights, shootouts, the off-road lineup from Morimoto, and so much more. We've covered 3-inch pods, but we didn't really actually cover the Pro Comp pods until now. Let me just do an unboxing. I've never opened this box before. I really want you guys to see what it comes with, because reading the back of it, it's pretty thick. Now this is their spot version. There are a bunch of other sizes you can get online. I didn't buy them all because we'd be here all day covering this product line. It looks like you can modify the front end of the pod lights with these if you want red, black, yellow, or blue. I kind of like the blue. I'm gonna leave that on there. So it comes with 2 pods. It's got all of the mounting hardware that you can have. Looks like a universal mounting hardware, so you can put this on ditch light brackets or on the roof rack. Here's something which is kind of cool. It comes with a universal harness. You got your positive and negative terminals. You got some Deutsch connectors. Deutsch connectors, come on, these are waterproof connectors. That's actually really good. A lot of the pod lights that we tested just had like bare wires for this price point. I think it was what, 107 bucks? This is actually a very good price. When do you get a harness and pod lights for 107 bucks? Let's compare it to this right here, which is the Diode Dynamics SS3 Max. This is just what we had on the shelf. I'm not trying to throw Diode under the bus either, because Diode has really good products and we sell a ton of them at Headlight Revolution. Let's compare these two and see how they compare. So here's the Pro Comp S4 Gen 3. This is in the spot beam pattern. As you can see, it centralizes the light really well. There's no fill around this at all. It does what a spot is supposed to do, but I can't help but note that that's probably not very bright. Compare this to the SS3 Max and you can see why. I measured 1,330 max lux for the Pro Comp, and I measured 6,010 maximum lux for the Diode Dynamics SS3 Max, like you see here. On the left, you can see the Pro Comp, and on the right, you can see the Diode Dynamics. As you can see, the Diode Dynamics one right here looks a lot brighter just on the wall, so that's really gonna give you that down the road punch of light. A lot better than the Pro Comp. I actually had high hopes for this 3-inch pod. It's the most popular you can get. Now again, this is just a spot beam. You could get these in a wide beam, and I really wish I did order the wide beam from Pro Comp because it had those side lights, those side shooters, kind of like the Harbor Freight pod lights do, but it's all right. We got the spotlight, and I wish it was a little bit brighter. Not too bad, let's keep moving. So we just installed the Pro Comp HL7 in this Jeep here, and this is what low beam looks like. So you hit your low beam, and you got the 2 LED projectors on the center illuminating. When you hit your high beam, you'll notice that on the outside there, you got those 4 reflectors, and they turn on. That's all this does. It doesn't have any features, but it is really bright. When lighting up the HL7 from Pro Comp, it looks like this, and not bad to be honest. It is super wide, it's super refined, it doesn't glare all over the road. This is actually what you want in a beam pattern. I measured 560 maximum lux on low beam, and on high beam, it looks like this. Out of a sealed headlight like this is, that high beam at 1,500 maximum lux is actually really good. The beam pattern is pretty decent, it's very bright. The hot spot's essentially where you need it to drive down the road. This is gonna provide a very comfortable driving experience. After making this video, I can assure you that we are going to be adding so much Pro Comp, because just testing these out for the first time, I'm like, yes, we need to put these on our website. People need to hear about them. They're a great price and they're very bright. But like I was saying, if you do want some features, you are gonna need something like the Morimoto Sealed 7, it's right here. Since we love comparing things, here is the Sealed 7 from Morimoto. When you hit the low beam on your Sealed 7, it looks like this. This is a Morimoto product. When you hit your high beam, you got that dedicated high beam projector on the top of the Sealed 7. This headlight I measured 500 on low beam and 730 on high beam. I think the beam pattern is a little bit better on low beam versus the Pro Comp, but as far as brightness goes, Pro Comp actually is brighter. The best thing about this is it does more. So let's say you're gonna hit the turn signal on the Sealed 7. You actually have a turn signal on the headlight housing itself. It's nothing too crazy from some of the 7-inch rounds that we tested, but it does have some extra features. The Sealed 7 also has a daytime running light, whereas the Pro Comp does not. So when you're driving around during the day, you're gonna have that bright white color where it flashes where the turn signal is. So if features are what you want, this is it. One more important detail to note on the Pro Comp headlight. As you can see here, this is the depth, and the depth is super important. The 7-inch round fits a lot of different vehicles out there. Make sure you go to our website, type in your year, make, and model to see if this actually fits your vehicle. This is the Sealed 7 depth, and as you can see, it's much more shallow than this one right here. Just something to point out. If you're gonna put this on, say, a classic vehicle, there's not a lot of mounting depth, and so you wanna make sure that it fits in properly and seats properly. You don't want it to be sticking out. It'll be the dumbest thing ever. If all you wanted was brightness and not features, here's another offering from Morimoto I just had sitting on the shelf. I figured I'd show you. This is the Super 7, and on low beam I measured 1,490 maximum lux, and on high beam I measured 1,550 maximum lux. So that is much, much brighter. If you're really interested in light output on low beam compared to the Pro Comp, it kind of blows it out of the water. Again, we test 7-inch round headlights all the time. Please watch those other shootouts to see what the benchmark would be. I think Pro Comp definitely fights in this league. On the wall, I've got that FL-3.5. It's a fog light from Pro Comp, and holy it's wide. This is one of the widest, if not the widest, fog light I've ever seen on the market. Morimoto came out with this all new XB Evo fog light, and this is somehow wider. Now the beam pattern is very consistent. It's not spreading it all over the place. This is an LED housing. The beam pattern isn't quite as refined as the Morimoto XB Evo. However, it is cheaper. Honestly, I'm just surprised by how wide this is and the fact that it's not glaring like right in front of you to then blind you when you're driving. This is a really, really good fog light. Yeah, it's around 150 bucks, so it's a little bit more pricey than the other Pro Comp stuff that I've been seeing, but holy, this is worth it. This is undoubtedly worth it. Compare this to, say, Diode or something, this is probably better. Please post in the comments below if you know of a product that has a wider beam pattern like this, not an off-road pod light, because I know you could find a wider beam pattern than that, but a sealed fog light housing. I don't think you can find one that's wider than this beam pattern. I know this is a high level overview, but we definitely need to do a shootout when it comes to all of these switch panels. This is the Pro Comp switch panel, and to be honest, don't mind the box over here. I stole the good box and put it in my truck. Let me show you what's inside of it. Got some zip ties. We got a diagram showing you how to mount it. That's pretty cool. Here's your control box. Yeah, it's a little bit big, but you definitely can mount this inside of your engine bay somewhere. And here's your switch panel. Now, this is something that a lot of people have issues with, but then other people, like myself, like it. So this is all glass. Some people only say that it's not good because when you're feeling, let's say, mounted this under your dash and you're trying to feel for it, you can't because it just is a touch screen. But personally, I think it's really cool. You can throw your stickers on here, and I'm assuming it comes with some stickers. Here's the harness. And here's all your stickers for your switches. Things like the middle finger, as you can see here, you can give a big FU to the person behind you. I use that all the time in my truck. I'm not gonna lie, I really do. I got windshield stickers, DRLs, rounds. Honestly, there's a lot of stickers that I wouldn't see in a normal kit in this box. So you got this, the switch, and then all of the connections that you need. So you can do a 3M tape, or you can use big screws. I think mine's literally just 3M taped into my truck. So ProComp does light bars, and they've got a lot of different options. First off, when's the last time you've ever seen a light bar with a lifetime warranty? All of these light bars have a limited lifetime warranty. So this isn't some Amazon special. This is an actual product where the manufacturer stood behind them, so I think they did a pretty good job. Now, you'll look on this side here, there's single row light bars. And over here, there's double row light bars. They have them available in a 6-inch, in a 10-inch, in a 20-inch, in a 30-inch, and even a 50-inch light bar. Let me show you what all of these look like. The single row 6-inch, what you see here is about $84 at the time of this video, and this is what it looks like. If you power up the single row 10-inch bar, it looks like this. It's actually really bright and only comes in at around $95 at the time of this video. You mount 2 of these on your vehicle, you're gonna be in good hands. I then used the power supply to power up one single row light, the 20-inch light bar. It comes in around $135 and it looks like this. Their 30-inch single row light bar looks like this. This is the brightest single row option that I had ordered, and it came in at around $178. Now, as you would suspect, the double row are much brighter. Let me show you guys that. They're a little bit more expensive too. The 6-inch double row light bar was about $115 at the time of this video. The 10-inch double row light bar was around $125, and this is what it looks like when you power it up. The 20-inch double row light bar was around $180, and this is how bright it is on the wall. If you really want to step it up, for about $250, you can get the double row light bar from ProComp. It's a 30-inch light bar, and this is how bright it is. Honestly, I don't know how much more light you would really need. For some reason, if you did have issues and you really needed a ton of light, the double row 50-inch light bar looks like this. We purchased this light bar for around $389 at the time of this video. Still, for a limited lifetime warranty on a bar this big, that's a no-brainer. All of these light bars apparently use low power consumption. They have an IP68 dust and waterproof rating. The entire back of this housing is just one giant heat sink, so it's gonna dissipate the heat properly and it's not going to fail or burn out. The whole point of making this video with the entire product line was to find out if ProComp had good products or not. So far, I'm actually really impressed. I'm impressed with the warranty, I'm impressed with the features, I'm definitely impressed with the light outputs, especially of some of their pod lights. I think they did a really good job. What about the rock lights? As far as rock lights go, there's 2 different kinds that I can tell. There is a red, green, blue, RGB, that allows you to use an app so you can choose any color your heart desires when you mount these in your vehicle. If you want to illuminate your wheel well, this is definitely the kit for you. And then there's also an all-white version. And the all-white one's actually really bright. And it's a pure white. It's not some nasty white that you see on some of these other rock light kits. When I was testing this out, just literally on the floor to try to look at the brightness, the app that you use connected right away. I had no issue. There was 0 lag, so that's a plus. Rock lights, you know, there's a whole bunch out there, and there's a lot of really cheap ones, and they're all pretty much the same. I think they did a pretty good job with these. I wouldn't say I was blown away with the brightness, but it was much brighter than some that we tested in a shootout a while ago. If you want to see that shootout, it's pretty in-depth on rock lights. Go watch it. It's with Chris Nelson, the founder of Headlight Revolution. He did a really good job covering all these rock lights. I wish we had these at that time to actually include this in the shootout. Maybe we'll do that in another video. If you really want to see a shootout of rock lights, post it in the comments below. The price of the RGB ones were around $179, and then just the white ones were $139. So let's open this up, show you what's inside of the box when you order this from ProComp. As you can see, we've got 6 LED pods in here, and it looks like it's got 3 LED chips per. I'm gonna try to show you guys how bright these are. It's really hard to compare rock lights because generally they're not like super bright. The wiring's waterproof, so that's pretty cool. I've seen bare wires on rock light kits, and honestly, that's trash. If your rock light kit has bare wires, it's the last thing you want. It even comes with an install guide. And Looks like it's got all of the wiring that you're gonna need. Here's what the switch looks like. This switch is a little bit basic, but you know what? For the price and for a lifetime warranty, that's okay with me. Keep digging, and I do see all of the mounting hardware for every single one of these pods. These are generally universal kits. You can install these on any one of your vehicles. It's kind of funny that they have only 6 of them in here, so that means you're gonna have like 1 in each wheel well, and then you're gonna have 2 left over. But let's see how bright they are. So here's one rock light and the output. Full disclosure, this is a really stupid way to try to show you guys the light output, but you get the point. You're using a Bluetooth app, and from what I can tell, it's instant. I'm not having any lag issues. I didn't even have to connect it. It just automatically was connected. Let's see, can you turn the brightness up or hue? Oh, wow. Honestly, it's pretty cool. Let's see if it can do any styles. Let's see, we got red pulsing, green pulsing. Let's speed that up. Oh yeah, you can get it to pulse with the app. Looks like you can get it to sync with music. You can do a rainbow setting if you want to, and you can have it flash through all of the colors to show that you have an RGB rock light. A lot of people do that. Let me show you what this looks like compared to, say, what we got here, the Morimoto XB rock light. So I got the Pro Comp one right here, and I got the Morimoto rock light right here. Again, this isn't even a fair comparison. It's just the best way I can think of doing this. This one's got like 8 LEDs or so. This one's only got 3 LEDs, but this one looks really bright. It's flashing through all of the colors. Same with this one. They're both RGB. They use a different app. This one uses the Morimoto app, whereas this one uses a more generic app. The reason I'm really putting these side by side is just to see if this can compete with the standard of today when it comes to rock lights. And from what I can tell, yeah, it's pretty bright. You got RGB. Again, you have just a single color as well if that's what you want. I like the RGB just because I like to have the option of changing the color if I wanted to, if I'm out in a parking lot or something. Obviously, don't drive around with a red color when you're driving around during the day, but if you're in a parking lot, it's all cool. So does it compete? Yeah, ProComp did a good job with this as well. So after all of that, do I recommend this? Well, yeah, I recommend most of the ProComp stuff. Let's start doing a recap of the light bars. Could I recommend these to my friends? Yes. I think I've seen brighter light bars out there, but for the price, I think they're very, very good. I also would rather the single row, to be honest, than the double row light bar. Like if I was to mount this 30-inch, say, on my headache rack on my truck, I'd rather that than this just for wind noise. I thought light bars were dead until a few years ago when I went to Jeep Invasion. No, they're not dead. So if you want a light bar, get one with a limited lifetime warranty. I think ProComp did a good job by understanding what everybody wants as far as sizes go and then as far as looks go. What about the fog lights? I'm definitely giving this a 10 out of 10. I'm so impressed with these fog lights that I'm gonna see everything else that they fit, not just the Jeeps. But if we can get these things to fit on anything else or make custom brackets for it, we are undoubtedly going to make a listing at Headlight Revolution and put that on there. Because this 10 out of 10 would recommend to all my friends. It's got a halo. Who doesn't like a halo? But more importantly, it's a super wide beam pattern. The widest beam pattern I have ever seen out of a fog light, and the brightness was pretty good. The new Morimoto XP Evos were much brighter, and if you put an off-road SAE compliant pod light, it also will be undoubtedly much brighter than that. But for a sealed housing, that is one really good fog light. What about the pod lights? The big ones? Yes. The big ones are stupid bright, and they're priced properly. The little 3-inch pod, I think it could have been a little bit brighter. They didn't do a very good job on that spot beam pattern that we showed you. But again, we didn't have that big wide beam pattern. When we get that in, I'm definitely gonna make a video of it. I know I got somebody sending one to us right now. After reviewing these, we are gonna review that on this channel. Hopefully that's competitive too, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend to my friends the 3-inch light, but the bigger ones, yeah, sure, why not? I really enjoyed the HL7 headlight as well, but I truly wish there was a little bit more features packed into it. If you're gonna make a 7-inch round headlight, you have to be competitive because the market is essentially saturated. Look at like JW Speaker, for instance. There's a bunch of different features packed into just one headlight. You gotta do a good job, and I think you might need to do a little bit better than just a good low beam and high beam. The beam pattern control was there, yes, but the features, in my opinion, were a little bit lacking. Still a good option, I suppose. If you're gonna do rock lights, that's totally different. I would 100% choose the RGB rock lights over the single color rock light. Why? Well, the price was pretty similar. So if I'm gonna pay a little bit extra, but I get the RGB function, it's a no-brainer. And that leaves us with, I believe, the switch panel. Now the switch panel, to you off-road nerds, I get it. You're like, I don't like this because it's got purple, funny looking spinners. Look, every single one of you, if you are an enthusiast of lighting, you need a switch. And I know a lot of you have your favorite switch, the S-Pod, the aux beam. I'm undoubtedly going to be making a switch shootout because I want to find out which one's best. But I think when it comes down to it, you're turning a light on, you're turning a light off with a little panel. I think there's a little bit of personal preference that really skews one person's opinion to another. I really like the little touchscreen. I do on mine. I have it in my truck, so I can't argue with that. I think it's a good switch panel. All in all, ProComp knocked it out of the park, and I really apologize to you guys for not showing all this stuff sooner. You will be seeing the entire ProComp product line slowly populate on headlightrevolution.com because we tested it and it truly works. It works for the Jeeps. We're gonna try to get it to work for other vehicles. Once we do, you're gonna be able to see that in the listings. Type in your year, make, and model on our website so you can see what ProComp items work for you and anything else that we tested that we actually can recommend.